What's up everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing an install video for the flywheel, clutch, and pressure plate. These are supplied by Action Clutch, and I'll show you an up close shot of them, and we'll do all the torquing and all that stuff, and I'll show you guys how to get it done. So let's jump into it. Alright, so some stuff you're going to need for this job is going to be some brake cleaner. I always buy the non-chlorinated stuff just so if I have to weld the diff or something like that, it won't cause a gas. And then some Permatex blue thread locker. If you do the red, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to take off later, so I would just do the blue. All right. So we got our clutch. We have the pressure plate right there, and then I have ARP pressure plate bolts. These are part number 1342201. And then we have the alignment tool and the flywheel with the flywheel ARP bolts. So let's go ahead and head over to the engine. I'll show you guys what's up. I'm gonna install my pilot bearing. Perfecto. Alright guys, so here is my brand new chromoly lightweight flywheel from Action Clutch. This thing looks pretty sweet. I already got the pilot bearing in there, and all I did was take a socket that's the same size and just tap it in. So the next step would be, okay, so the next step would be to make sure everything gets cleaned because there's a layer of protective oil on here. So for that, I'm just gonna take some brake cleaner, get it all sprayed up, and just wipe it down. We're just gonna waste as much as possible. Whew. Now we'll go back and get that wiped down. Feels brand new. It's pretty cool having like everything brand new on this build. So basically it's all brand new. I don't think that's the only OEM part I still have on here is going to be the heads and the and those are all rebuilt too, so it's pretty cool. All in the windage tray. So that looks better. Okay, so we got our flywheel on there. We lined up the 3 holes here. So there's one that's a false hole and then the 2 holes. And then we line these holes up. We made sure they go on. And now we're gonna get some lube here. And then I'm gonna grab a shop towel. And I'll just lay that on the ground. Just lay that down like that. And then I'll take my bolts and make sure they don't have anything on them. No dirt or dust. Make sure they're super clean. These all look good. So according to ARP, use a blue thread locker. So just cut off the tip there. Go ahead and put some on the threads. Just like that. And actually, I forgot to put lube on this one. So I'll do that first. Okay, so we want lube on the head of the bolt. And then thread locker on the threads of the bolt. You don't need too much, but just enough to get an accurate torque reading on them. So we got our lube on there. Now we'll go ahead and just put a line of thread locker on there. Don't overdo it, but if you use the red one, it's a huge pain in the ass to get off again. especially if you're under the car doing it and you're like swapping something out and you don't take the full engine out. It's a pain in the ass, man. So I recommend using the blue thread locker so you can get them off later, because on my KA setup I was going through issues getting somebody before me put red thread locker in there, and man, I was like almost stripping out the bolt and everything trying to get that shit off there. It's not cool. All right, so now what we're gonna do is go ahead and put our bolts in there, get them threaded on, and go hand tight with them. And I'm just going a crisscross pattern here. And the way you're supposed to do it is kind of like 3 passes to get to 85 foot-pounds. So we'll probably do like, I think it's 15 foot-pounds, and then around 40, and then 85. And always in a crisscross pattern, just like if you're doing your your wheels. And so the importance of doing the thread locker is A, so that these don't back out, because something you don't want to fail. But B, or the second reason I guess, is because these bolt holes actually go all the way through your crank for oiling, and they'll slowly leak oil if you don't do this. So that is why it's important not to skip that. Okay, so this is set to 18 foot-pounds. That's fine though, we'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, and then just gonna torque these. Ooh. Okay. I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get this dowel pin to rotate to about there, and then I actually went too far. So let's go around again. Oh yeah. I think that's gonna work. Alright, so here's what I got. I went ahead and used one of these bolts that I used for my engine stand, and then I used a dowel and a double-ended wrench and kind of just locked it in place because I don't have a flywheel stopper tool. Another thing you can do is use a bolt on the front of the engine with like a long breaker bar and let it hit something so it won't rotate all the way. So I just want to go through and make sure these are all torqued to 40 foot-pounds real quick. Alright. And now we need to go to 85 foot-pounds. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put blue Loctite and some lube on the head of the bolt here. And then with these, usually that chamfer goes toward the head of the bolt. Let me just double check. It doesn't say on here, so I'm gonna do that. That's the way they are on the engine main cap, so I'm assuming it's the same deal. And then we're just gonna brake clean off the pressure plate real quick, get it all cleaned up. And then I will use my clutch alignment tool, make sure the clutch is clean, align everything, and then we can get it all bolted in place. And we're gonna have to take this off and make sure that our dowels line up with the actual pressure plate. So let's go ahead and get that going. And then so we will get this on there. Alignment tool. And that looks dope. Got that cleaned up again. It's important to use a brake cleaner on there and make sure that it doesn't get lint everywhere from the type of rag you're using. Alright guys, so I got the pressure plate on there. Everything's brake cleaned. Everything's pretty much hand tight. And now I'm just going to take a 12 mil hex socket, and this is going to get torqued down to 45 foot-pounds. That's how you install your flywheel, clutch, and pressure plate. And now all I have to do is clean up the throw bearing on the trans side on the input shaft, get that all cleaned up, remove the alignment tool, and then yeah, we can go ahead and get it mated to the transmission, get the bell housing bolts in there, and that's ready to go in, man. And then we can start working on our accessories in the valley cover and intake manifold and all that stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time.